else online. So everybody else looks like they're agenda related. So that was your public comment period for today.
Awesome. I like that. Moving on to the next item is our consent agenda items. Got quite a few listed under there, and 23 in fact. So I'll go ahead and give the floor to Mac.
All right, so for today's consent agenda item, you have the approval of the January 2nd, 2024 Commission meeting minutes. That was a little ways back, but we had forgot them, and so trying to get those finalized. Approval of the April 16th, 2024 Commission meeting minutes, and the approval of the 2024 Commission work meeting minutes. You have the approval of the April 12th through the May 15th, 2024 check registers that are on here. Item number 6, approval of $27,965.31 in purchases. You had $1,052.17 for the landfill gate service to the landfill gate, and then you've got $1,750 for inmate bunks, San Juan County Jail. Got $22,013.14 to complete the fire engine motor replacement for the road department or through the road department. Then you've got $3,150 for a yearly electronic technician software subscription for the road department as well. Item 7. These are kind of, as you look at these contracts, these are routine contracts that come before you every year, so we just put them on the consent agenda. But you have the approval of the annual 2024 contract between Zion's Way and San Juan County for caregiver in-home services. A lot of these contracts are just with different providers, but the same contract, which is kind of why you're seeing them in triplicate or duplicate. So item 8, approval of the annual 2024 contract between Zion's Way and San Juan County for alternatives in home care service. Item 9, approval of the annual 2024 contract between Comfort at Home Care and San Juan County for alternatives in home care service. You have the approval of the 2024 contract between Comfort at Home Care and San Juan County for caregiver in home care services. Approval of the annual 2024 contract between Rocky Mountain Home Health and San Juan County for alternatives in home care services. Approval of the annual 2024 contract between Rocky Mountain Home Care and San Juan County for caregiver in home care services. You have approval of the annual 2024 contract between Rocky Mountain Personal Care and San Juan County for case management and home health care services. You have the approval of the annual 2024 contract between Edward Tapaha, and San Juan County for translation services for the in-home programs. Item 15, approval of the annual 2024 bingo size contract for preventative health services. Item 16, approval of the annual 2024 contract between Sheila Knight, registered nurse, and San Juan County for Medicaid aging waiver services. Item 17, approval of the 2024 San Juan County second year and 4-year plan for aging services. You have the approval of the annual 2024 agreement with Utah Legal Services Incorporated in San Juan County to provide legal assistance to the elderly population of San Juan County. Then going into public health, now you have the approval of the San Juan County Immunizations 2019 contract between the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County, amendment number 5. You have the approval of the San Juan County COVID-19 Health Disparities and Advancing Health Equity contract between the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services and San Juan County, amendment number 2. Item 21, approval of the San Juan County Tobacco Contract fiscal year 2021 through 2025 contract between State of Utah Health and Human Services and San Juan County, amendment number 7. Item 2022 is approval of the San Juan County Public Health Infrastructure 2023 contract between the State of Utah Health and Human Services and San Juan County, amendment number 2. And item number 23, your final agenda item on the consent agenda, is the approval of amendment number 1 with TechServe Incorporated for IT consultation and project services. Those, commissioners, are your consent agenda items for today.
Commissioner Adams?
I've got a couple of questions. I think, Tammy, maybe you can answer this. Numbers number 7, 8, and 9. There's not a difference. They're all giving caregiver in-home care services. Are they different kinds of care that require different contracts?
One's an alternatives and one's a caregiver contract, so different rates. One's for respite.
Well, number 8 says for alternatives in-home care. Number 9 for alternative in-home care. Is that a duplicate?
So I can't quite see.
So you have caregiver in-home care
Yeah, it's
services,
the same.
and then you have the alternatives for Zion's Way. So two different, the same company, two different contracts.
Same company, two different programs. One's a caregiver program, and the other one is the alternatives program. So there are contracts for them to work within that program.
I must be reading that wrong.
So 7, if you look at 7 and 8.
No, look at 8 and 9.
So 8 and 9, you have at-home care. So Comfort At-Home Care is the company. Then 9 is the alternatives in-home care service.
Okay.
10 is the caregiver in-home care services.
So we have 3 or 4 companies that provide similar services
For different programs.
for different programs.
Yeah, the caregiver program
So they're
is
not a
different
duplicate?
than alternatives. No.
Okay.
So I have to have a contract for them to do caregiver services, and then I have to have a contract for them to do alternative services.
Only Tammy can keep me straight on this. She's had 20 years of experience trying to keep me
20
lined up.
plus.
So, and okay, thank you. Now, Mac, on number 19, are these just general immunizations that kids get before they go to school if they want them, or what? What are we immunizing for?
Grant's online. Grant can answer that
Okay.
question.
Grant, I'm looking at number 19. Tell me what we're immunizing for.
Great question. Thanks, Commissioner Adams and Mac, for good question. So this is, it has a few that are specific, trying to promote hepatitis B prevention, for example, but other things are general, trying to generally improve vaccination rates. This funding is not sufficient for us to actually administer or provide the vaccines directly ourselves. And so this enables us to work with our partners, healthcare partners, since San Juan Health and Utah Navajo Health System are both provide the Vaccines for Children program, which is intended for low-income populations, and also work with them to help with any outbreak response if there is a need to ramp up immunizations, as well as have an immunization campaign. So we're organizing right now so that we can use some of these expenses, use some of these funds to help promote, say, as a back to school campaign to get kids ready to because we have some schools that have lower immunization rates in the county, and we are concerned with pockets of measles across the country. If those were to, if we were to have a case here in the county, there's some concern in some of our smaller communities and some of our schools. And so this funding is available to help promote that on a community level. And so we're working with our school nurses, as well as, like I said, our local healthcare providers to develop that strategy.
Are some of our immunizations provided at no cost, and then others are provided at a cost, depending on what their income level is of the household?
Right, that's the intent of the Vaccine for Children program, for example, where it's for those kids that would need it based on their income. but then, yeah, we had a similar approach with even with COVID vaccines when we partnered with Utah Navajo Health System, for example. If someone did have insurance, they were able to charge that insurance and to help with costs. And so that would be it would be a similar approach for these other vaccine types.
Okay, I guess the only other question I have is, what is number 15?
So this is through Tammy the bingo
Is that
size.
people that are addicted to bingo?
Yes.
Okay, come on, Ted.
So what is
They
bingo
need
size?
We need a bingo contract.
Exercising.
It is one of the 12 programs that are approved by ACL to use preventative health funds, and it is bingo and exercise mixed together. We have somebody trained to provide it.
Thank you.
It is not addiction to bingo.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all I have, Jamie.
All right, commissioners. How would you like to move on the consent agenda items?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items 1 through 23 as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner. Motion by Commissioner Adams to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any additional questions or comments, commissioners? Hearing none. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor to approve? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, 3 in favor. So the next item, commissioners, we're going to switch some things around. We've got a guest here that needs to move on to the next city. So we're going to actually take under our business action items. We have agenda item 38, as well as our public hearing items, which is item 39 and 40. And we're going to go ahead and start with those before we move into our business items, if that is okay. And
Yep.
If so, then we will go ahead and begin with item number 38.
Okay, item 38 is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing an annual renewable lease agreement, authorizing the issuance and sale by the local building authority of San Juan County, Utah, of its 21,366,000 lease revenue bonds, Series 2024, to finance the acquisition and construction of a public safety building remodel and expansion and related matters. In this agenda item here, it's basically passing the resolution, pushing things to the local building authority, which we will hear here in a second. You'll have to put your local building authority hat on for that. We also do, like you mentioned, have Eric Johnson, who is our bond counselor, here with us today, which prompted the move to this so they can get to Emery County. They've got another issue that they're dealing with in Emery County for those commissioners there. And so that today is the resolution that you're looking at. In here, the resolution does have the lease agreements, the property assigning to the local building authority so that we can lease those through the local building authority, which are some of the bond requirements, legal requirements for the bond and for the community impact board as well. So this sets everything up, pushes it to the local building authority.
Okay.
Eric, do you want to add to that?
Sure. Why don't I make some comments for those 3 agenda items? First, let me explain, what a building authority is and what it does. And the best way for people to understand that is to understand how it got started. So back in the late 1970s, the Iron County Jail was really old and run down. And a judge declared that it was not fit for prisoners. And so the judge ordered the county to, build a new jail. And so the commissioner said, well, to do that, we'll need to borrow some money. So they called an election and asked the people to approve the funds for the new county jail that the judge ordered them to build. And the people said no. And so Iron County was, they were stuck. And so the state legislature passed what was then known as the Municipal Building Authority Act. It's now known as the Local Building Authority Act. And what that allows is the creation of a nonprofit corporation known as the Local Building Authority of the county. And it is the building authority that takes out the loan, not the county directly. Okay? And then the building authority leases the improvement to the county for the exact amount of the annual payment. Okay? And so in this case, for you guys, with your public safety facility, you already own that. That's owned by the county. So the county will lease the ground to the building authority. The building authority will get a grant and a loan from the Community Impact Board. And it will be the building authority that actually makes the improvements. And that those improvements will be in the name of the building authority, not the county. The building authority will then lease everything back to the county for the exact amount of their annual payment. When that loan gets paid off, the documents are written up such that the assets fall through to the county, okay? And so they're only held in the name of the building authority for the duration of the loan. The one thing that is a little unique about the lease is that it's not a 30-year lease. It's one document, but it's written so that it is a series of 30 one-year leases. And the county has the legal right in any given year to say, we don't want to continue this. Okay? And that's why you don't have to have an election in order to do this, is because they call that an annual appropriation lease. And that way, the legislature still wants you to have a public hearing, what you're going to have today, okay, before you make a decision on this. But that is what makes it so that the Supreme Court held, because the Iron County case was immediately challenged in court. It went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said counties have to have jails, and it's clear that nobody is really ever going to vote in favor of spending more money on a jail. Mm-hmm. And so we have to allow this mechanism so that the counties can take care of their statutory duties and obligations. And so they approved the legislation, and they approved the action that Iron County was taking. And so this has become a fairly common mechanism in the state. It's used all over the state. Let me address, the public hearing is going to be in the amount of $24 million when you're really only going to borrow $21 million and change. The difference is the Community Impact Board, your lender, they say, well, the bids on this aren't in yet, so add just a little extra in there just in case the bids come in high. Okay, so that's why the public hearing is for $24 million and the actual amount of the bonds is $21,366,000. The other thing I want to mention, there is a grant that attaches to this as well as a low interest loan. Right now, if you borrowed the approximately $25 million for this project at market rates, you would pay that back and the total repayments would be between $55 and $60 million. As it is, you're getting 2% interest instead of something in the range of 6% interest. And so this is subsidized by more than a third. And so sometimes people ask, hey, is this the best deal possible? It's like, yes, this is the best deal possible for this project. So those are my introductory comments. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners?
No, now I understand why they have that month, September, all the September payments, all that, because they do it in, like as you just explained in section. I was trying to figure, I was curious about why they have all the January month in one group, all the, so.
Yeah.
From the length of the loan, when they're due and how much is due and.
Yeah, the one other thing I should add, thank you, is the security for this loan. It works like a home loan. The security is the building itself. Okay, so it'll be your public safety facility will be the security for the loan. If you choose to walk away from it, the Community Impact Board will be the proud owner of your county jail. Okay. So.
Not be a bad idea.
An idea.
It's a bad idea.
And Mac, I can tell you who they'll put in that jail first.
Commissioner Adams.
I told Matt, make sure this nice thing come to in case we need it for ourselves.
Yeah. So let's see. I think that covers you have resolutions for both the building authority and the county commission. The building authority can only do what the county commission authorizes it to do, and the board of the building authority are the county commissioners. We also have a master resolution which outlines the details about the bonds. You have a ground lease, the annual appropriation lease that I explained, and the leasehold deed of trust. Those are the primary documents in front of you. So
Okay.
with that, I'll take a seat to answer questions from anybody from the public. And my recommendation would be to open the public hearing first, hear from the public first before you take any action, either as the county commission or the building authority. Oh, one other thing. When you come to the resolutions, because debt is involved, if you would do a roll call vote.
Okay. All right. So recommendation is to go into a public hearing, the local building authority public hearing mode, right? So,
I make a motion, we go into our public hearing
Commissioner Adams.
on our local building authority.
Motions to move to a public hearing of our local building authority.
No second.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any other comments before we do this? Hearing none. All those in favor to move into our public hearing mode for local building authority? Aye.
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 It's 3 in favor. We are now in public hearing mode. So, item 39.
So are there any members of the public who would like to speak to this bond, this public hearing? Do you want it?
I just have a question.
So you have to state your name.
It's a public hearing to hear you.
And where you live?
So yeah, this is just,
TJ Adair, Monticello. So what pays this back if we don't raise the tax to pay? Like if he was saying, you used to have to vote to do a bond. So what pays for it? Is it still, you just don't have to have an election? Or is it?
John.
Okay.
John will tell you.
Yeah, no,
John, you need to come up,
yeah.
state your name.
Thanks. I knew you wanted to talk. I didn't raise my hand. John Young. I live in Blanding. I'm the jail commander. What pays this back is our contract with the state prison. We have a daily incarceration rate and a treatment rate for those inmates that we house. And this construction will actually bring in about 35 additional state inmates. And we've also got good news from the legislature this year, starting July 1, that daily incarceration rate is going up considerably.
What is it right now?
We're a little over 65 a day. And then
But we-
treatment is a little higher than that, about $13 higher than that per day. And I think, if I remember right, I don't have the rates on me, but in a meeting last week, I think we're going to be going up about $11 a day per inmate, just daily incarceration, and then a little more than that for the treatment. So
How many inmates do you project to have?
currently we house up to 76 per day by contract, and we'll extend that to 110 state inmates per day when this is complete.
We take 110 times the daily rate, which is $60, $70.
Which I think will be close to $78 a day starting July
So do your
1.
fifth grade math. TJ and
Cur-
He is the fifth grade teacher.
$8,000 a day.
Currently per month we're getting, depending on the bed numbers filled, we're getting anywhere between 130 to 150,000 per month. Take that up by another third. So that's what'll pay for it.
now not every dime of that goes to pay the loan.
Sure.
'Cause they still have
Yeah,
to
we have to operate the
do
facility.
their programming at the jail, but that's what we're projecting, the increase of inmates, the increase in the daily rate, and
You have the APNP lease
all
rate,
of that you
district
factor
lease.
into it. We won't have to raise taxes.
We also have a contract with the federal marshals. We hold a number of their inmates. They've actually shown interest in the project, that their judges are actually talking about running some of their drug court things from the reservation here in our facility and using more of our beds for their inmates. We do that for them every once in a while. That rate is also near $70. I'm actually in negotiations to get that up higher, but I foresee them using the facility a lot more as well. So
Okay. Good question.
Any other public comments in the audience? Not seeing any. Anyone on the line wishing to make a public comment regarding this? Only have one individual online. I'm not seeing him unmute himself.
I'll make a motion, we close our public hearing of our local building authority.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Adams to close, second by Commissioner Stubbs. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 3 in favor. Unanimous. Moving out. We are now no longer in public hearing mode. So back to our resolution, right?
Yep.
38.
Do the resolution first, Eric?
Yeah,
Is the
resolution
commission.
for the
For-
county commission first.
For resolution, we're going to do a roll call, right? So let's go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution authorizing an annual renewable lease agreement for a public safety remodel.
Okay, Commissioner Adams motions to approve the resolution.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. And just for the record, we do have all commissioners present. So, any other questions or comments before we take our vote? Hearing none. All those in favor of the resolution? Aye.
Do we do roll call?
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call vote.
I just said
Oh, okay.
for the record, so we were present.
All right. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Now, do we want to go to 39, Mac?
We do, but you want to make a motion to enter into as the local building authority to pass these?
So
We go-
just for clarification purposes, on our resolution, there was 3 in favor and it was unanimous. Okay, now to number 39.
Do we go back into public hearing?
No, we had the public hearing.
Okay, so we just need to make a motion on it.
To enter in to as the local building authority hat out of commission into local building authority. So all I need is a motion to enter in as the local building authority. Take a vote on that, and then we'll vote on the
You
other.
want to do that?
Me? Okay, I make a motion that we, support the local
Enter into our
authority,
local building.
local building authority.
That's it.
That's
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Stubbs to go into the local building authority, second by Commissioner Adams. Let's take a minute to change our clothes so that we can. All right. All those in favor to go into local building authority mode? Aye.
Aye.
That's 3 in favor. That's unanimous vote. We are now in local building authority
Now you're
mode.
item number 40, which is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of $21,366,000 lease revenue bonds series 2024 to finance a public safety building remodel and expansion and related matters.
So 39 says we go into a public hearing
That
again.
we pulled that.
We've already done
right
that.
at the
Okay.
beginning.
All right. So now we're just making a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the,
Issuance and sale of those bonds.
yeah. Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of the lease revenue bonds.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Stubbs seconds the motion. Any comments, questions, commissioners? If none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 That's 3 in favor. That's a unanimous vote to approve the resolution. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion that we come out of our local building authority public hearing.
Okay, motion to
Go
come
back to
out.
the commission meeting.
Come out of local building authority and back to commission meeting.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. All those in favor to get out of local building authority mode and back to commission meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. We're now back in commission meeting mode.
Rosa in this next office, she has them all ready to go.
Great. Well, thank you for.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, now we're going all the way back down to item number, let's see,
24.
24, consideration and approval.
Okay, this one here is consideration and approval of an ordinance establishing the San Juan County addressing policy and addressing standards for the county. Got Devlin McCarthy, he's our deputy surveyor that's going to be giving this presentation on this new policy.
Good morning. So this is going to be a foundation for a uniform San Juan County property identification system. Such uniformity will be developed and applied to street names, numbers, and structures, and establish property identification for providing public and emergency services. The procedures listed are going to apply to all streets, identification signs,
Pull that mic just a little bit closer to you.
address numbers, structures, and public and private property existing within the unincorporated regions of San Juan County, as well as contract entities and municipalities at the time of adoption of this ordinance codified in this document, of which we currently don't have any, as well as those created or structured or constructed at a later time. Predominantly, these documents apply to the unincorporated regions, as I already stated, of the county that we, as specifically the San Juan County government, maintains. However, it contains verbiage promoting coordination and partnership with incorporated areas as well as native lands. Communications will be made much more clear and structured from the county to the public, as well as relevant governmental entities, primarily relating to emergency services regarding all addressing related changes, updates, and additions. To date, there hasn't been much consistency with addressing across the entire county, leading to a variety of issues that these documents will provide the structure for fixing and help ensure future problems aren't given an opportunity to develop. This concludes my brief overview of this addressing ordinance. I'll now take any questions from you guys if you have any.
Now, I notice that you have on your San Juan addressing regions that the Spanish Valley area is considered the Moab region.
Yes,
Okay.
I have pulled Moab's grid down to include Spanish Valley.
We're not giving any authority away to Moab, are
No,
we?
we are not.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. I think there's something that we've needed for a long time is consistency. Because I know that that's been a pretty big problem. So actually you will be responsible for the addressing for the entire county, including the municipalities,
Just the unincorporated stuff.
just the unincorporated.
We don't have
So
jurisdiction
you won't go
over
within
them.
the boundaries of the municipalities.
That is correct.
Okay.
We can enter into contract with them either direction. We can take on the responsibility of addressing inside the municipalities, or we can request help from the municipalities for servicing a greater region of the county.
What do you see as a liability that might come to you because of this, or is there any liability? More liability by not doing it, probably.
There's going to be a fair bit of issues specifically regarding the Navajo Nation because of addressing problems. On the nation, they address specifically by chapter, and that gets kicked to the central body, and that raises a lot of issues for legitimacy of addresses, especially for the more rural settlements. And that'll pose problems for elections.
Do you have a relationship with the Navajo Nation as far as addressing?
I do, yes.
Okay, that's good.
I was gonna ask the same question about the southern part of the county, but I just wanna thank you, your department, because this is hard work, and appreciate you guys, your willingness to do it, and I think it's very needed for more than one reason to have this uniform system, and it'll simplify lots of our work, and also clarification of addresses, and it's, I think it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mac, do we not have to go into public hearing when we establish an ordinance of this kind?
Not where it's a policy for us.
Okay.
And so this, kind of like Devlin had mentioned, this is something that's been needed for a long time. There are a lot of problems because we didn't have a standard in place here at the county. So in our new land use ordinance, we'll be referencing this as well so that we can avoid some of the conflicts that we've had here in the past by not having these standards. It's mainly kind of those marching orders that we can then give to developers. This is our standard internally. Where it's not a specific land use, we're not creating areas, we're not creating zoning. This is just the addressing standard that complies with state code, the law, gets us through the 911 system a lot easier by having this process that we can point to developers saying, okay, here's our standard, you need to comply with that before we give an actual address. And so he's done a lot of work, and this is just as kind of a background story. this effort used to be placed in, there's really not a department, an addressing department that a county has. So this was part of the county's assessors in the past. We migrated this over to the county surveyor's office where it fits, especially when they're doing subdivisions and looking at lots and parcels, things like that. And so this, I appreciate their efforts because I know this is a Herculean problem. I constantly hear from residents that purchase a property where the numbering isn't correct on their streets. They, in the past, this effort lived out of a notebook, and you had to understand the notebook and the notes in the notebook to be able to do it, but yet addresses were given. Now you fast forward to 911 system and having dispatch out of price. You know, as we send out an ambulance, the ambulances are getting literally lost as they go to areas, or your Amazon deliveries aren't being properly addressed. So there's just a mass confusion. This policy put in place creates that standard that we can go back in time, and this is another Herculean effort, is going back through time and correcting all of the bad addresses that have been assigned, telling people they need to fix their addresses so that we're on a proper grid system and not just that first property owner into the development being able to name the streets after themselves and getting crossways. The road department has struggled with this in the past as well, as, and they've been catching it on their end of it. Is like, hey, there's already this named road here, this other part of the county. If you call 911, you know, there's a conflict between a Wilson Arch Road and a Spanish Valley Road. You call 911, say I'm on this road, then the ambulance doesn't know, was it Wilson Arch that I got to go to or Spanish Valley that I go to? And so this helps mitigate that. It puts on the state system as well, and that's why I like his efforts, because everything in here goes to the state's database so that it's no longer in a notebook that's passed from employee to employee. It's actually official and standardized and lays that process for us to operate off of.
And I hope the municipality will participate, because before, when we had 911 located just in Blanding, when you are having a problem, you get nervous, you can't even remember your phone number or anything. So we had a daughter and her husband, something happened with that gas line. So they say across the Baptist church, okay. Somebody in Blanding will know where the Baptist church is, but Price, they had no idea that the Price people try to figure out where the Baptist church is. Well, the hose is dancing like a snake in the property. So I think you guys gonna be doing good work. Something very important. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance establishing the San Juan County addressing policy and standards for the county.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Adams and second by Commissioner Stubbs. All right. Any other comments or questions?
I just want to thank you and your team.
Great. All right. Then we'll take a vote. All those in favor for the ordinance? Aye.
Aye.
That's 3 in favor. Unanimous approval. Motion carries for the new approval of the ordinance.
Add to his workload at the same time. Yeah, thanks, Devin. Good job.
All right. Next item.
We've got consideration and approval of the proposal for road name changes, which is right on par.
So this goes in line with the survey group. We work a lot together. There's going to be a whole bunch more of these, and of contacting the state, finding out how this works. This is how it works. We come to you. You give us the approval to change some names. We get it approved. We send it to the state. Surveyors send it in a system that lets the GPS, pretty much every structure for 911, they put it in that system with the name change. It all goes through. These roads that we're proposing right now don't have any addresses that are affecting them at this time. But there's some building that wants to go on, so we're going to rip the Band-Aid off and start fixing some stuff like Devlin and the survey group have said. And so these ones here, if you look through the packet, there's some of them that have the same name. We're changing it to where it's more uniform. And then we'll end up coming back numerous times. And when we do a lot more of these, it will actually affect addresses that people currently have, which then it has to, go to the post office, do all that stuff. So these first ones that we're doing don't affect anybody other than the future. And so I'd like approval to change these names from you guys, and then we'll do all the other work to get them changed, and they'll get changed on our maps and get changed on, like I say, all the infrastructure for the country.
Where are these located in the county? Are they north of 491?
There's probably some.
Okay.
They're kind of all over.
Are they?
Yeah.
Some of these are out east of town.
Oh, okay. Could
I
be
mean-
in the Eastland area or Boulder.
Well, you've got the old highway, for example. One of them is the old highway, and it's called the North Highway. And then there was one that was the old South Highway, and they're two separate roads. But that's what their name is. And so we're just trying to clear up a little bit of confusion. And
Out by the Salon.
Okay.
yeah, some down off of the Big Indian Road, Lisbon Valley area. They're just kind of,
Number 25.
Okay, I make a motion to support the proposed changes of the roads, names, whatever.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Stubbs
I'll
for
second.
approval of proposed road name changes. Second by Commissioner Adams. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. It's 3 in favor, unanimous vote. Proposed names for the roads are the changes to the roads. Names is approved.
thank you.
Can I make a comment?
It's too
Are
late.
there, any of these road named after people?
These ones are not.
Okay.
If I
It's
don't
not
know.
BYU or.
No.
Or Utah.
Yeah,
Should
should be
be.
every name.
There should be a lot of
You just take
those
her-
kind of
take
names.
So,
There's no.
We were going to combine them, and it was going to be
Eliminate
BYU
all the
Utah,
Utah names.
but they wouldn't agree on it.
Know where it's at.
We've got an arm wrestling table downstairs. They were going to see who won.
thank you so much. No, I just didn't want anybody mad at you for changing the grandpa's road's name. Or,
I will not guarantee
Just
that no
start
one
with
will
the
get
easy
mad during this process.
you start with the easier ones.
You will probably get a phone call or two during this process of people saying, why are you changing our name? But to make it uniform and to do the things that we need to do to make it better,
Yeah,
we're going to have to.
we appreciate that. I just wanted trying to wake us up a little bit so they have to talk about BYU and University of Utah.
People will be mad when they change those, but they need to be fixed. It gets to be pretty confusing. Missile Road.
Looks like the next item is yours too, TJ. Next two items.
Okay, yeah, this one is consideration and purchase approval for a blade. Greater good.
Okay, so we lease our blades, a lot of them right now in the government lease program. When we do it, we have a guaranteed buy price that goes in because we're a government entity. We get a little bit better buying power. And so if you look at this one, so the reason that I'm looking at doing this is that we had a couple of our blades, our spare blades, that we lost a rear end in one and it was $38,000 to fix it. We lost a transmission in another just because they're old. They've got 14,000 hours on them, which is a lot. And so working with our dealership that we lease our stuff through, I worked a deal where we can trade in those 2 units and they will fix them and then they'll sell them and they'll bear the burden of all of the repairs. And so by doing that, it gives us $100,000 trade-in value. And the blade buyout price is $244,000. So the final price will be $144,000, which sounds like a lot. The problem is the new blades are over $400,000 now. And this blade's 6 years old, but we've only got 4,000 hours on it. If we purchase it, I could turn around tomorrow and sell it for over $200,000 and make 50 grand just because of where our buying power is on it. So we have 2 of these, and I put it in my budget to do this, one this year and one next year, and then we'll look at the problem with the equipment is it just keeps going up with inflation. And so this makes sense to sell our old 14,000 hour stuff, replace it with 4,000 or 5,000 hour stuff for our spare blades when we have something getting worked on or we have a breakdown. It'll be more beneficial for us than spending $38,000 to fix a rear end on a blade that everything else in it has 14,000 hours. So you fix the rear end, then you fix the transmission, then you fix the engine. Next thing you know, you're in this price, but it's an old piece of equipment. And so that's what I would like to do is trade those in and purchase the one that we've been leasing because our lease is up on it.
I'll make a motion to support for you to do what you want to do.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. All right. All those in favor? Aye.
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 It's 3 in favor, unanimous approval.
Thank you.
Next item, 27.
Okay, 27, consideration and approval of amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Navajo Nation and San Juan County for bus route maintenance. This one TJ is going to explain it, and then there may be a modification on the cost on here that we'll have to wordsmith.
Okay, so before I had this job, so I blame it on Mac, we entered in an agreement with the Navajo Nation to maintain some bus routes. Well, that expired, and so we're working on a new one. And so in the original, it was supposed to be for $100,000 a year. Somehow, we thought it was $100,000 a year. The Navajo Nation thought it was a one-time $100,000 payment for 3 years. So we're $200,000 behind what we're owed, and we're working with them trying to figure out how to do it. So this $258,000, if we can get this for a yearly thing, it will bring us current to today. They say they have the $250,000. We've got the emails from them saying they have it. We want to pass this so that we have an account number. We need to get it to them so they can give us the actual accounting codes. We've been working on this for, 6 or 7 months, Mac. And the reason it's coming to you guys first is so maybe we can get but we've been waiting for them to send us the stuff, and we're kind of hoping that this might get the ball rolling the other direction. And then so when he says an adjustment to the price, it might be this first year is this much, and then the annual years after. To do the maintenance that we're currently doing, it's $108,000 a year of their portion. The reason is, if you looked at the attachment there, I went with the school district and got with them. The contract is to do bus routes. Well, there was some roads now that we're doing that are not bus routes, but there's also roads that we're not doing that are new bus routes, depending on where the kids live. So I got with the school district, went through their GPS data from their buses when they go pick kids up, and we modified this. And so that's what the back page is. And so that's what our proposal is. And I sent this to the Navajo Nation in March. Now, this is the new proposed routes. Eliminate these ones, add these ones. It totals a difference of 6 miles than what we were doing. So there is a little increase in cost. We have heard nothing back from them, and they were supposed to have a meeting about it, and I just haven't heard anything back from them. And so that's why we're trying to push this through and say, okay, look, these are the routes that the buses are running on that are not getting maintained and beating the buses up. But we're maintaining this road that the buses no longer run on. So we'd like to do this kind of a yearly thing, depending on where the kids move, because sometimes their kid graduates, now they're no longer a bus route. And so that's what this is it's an amendment to an agreement that was made in 2020. Like I say, they paid the payment in 2021 and they haven't paid 1 cent because they thought it was a one-time $100,000, and we were thinking it was $100,000 for 5 years.
Isn't it spelled out in the contract?
Well, there's 2 pages in it, and one of them it says what we think, and one of them it says what they think. One of them it says the total cost of the project is $100,000, and our yearly contract is $100,000, and so they haven't been allocating money to it, and so that's what we're trying to get fixed. Is that get caught up, give them a bill. This catches us up, this 258, and then go down the line.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Okay. The snow removal, the school district is responsible for the snow removal, or will this be part of the snow removal?
So this agreement is part of it for the Navajo Nation roads to do snow removal. We usually just pray for sun.
Okay.
Which happens a lot there. Yeah.
They usually don't get enough snow to hit our 3-inch minimum to go down.
Okay, because when people call me for snow removal, if it, usually the answer is, well, it's not the county, it's the school responsible. But so this is a combination of repairing the roads too? Or
So the school, they'll never go push the snow. It's a responsibility of who has the road, which is it's BIA or NDOT. So if the BIA has a contract with us, we will push the snow on those roads. If the NDOT has a contract, we will push the snow on those. And so we have, but bear in mind, all the roads that we take care of are gravel. So when we go push snow, it's with our blade. And we did last year push snow. But the most of the roads that they call about are the paved roads, which is going to be BIA or the state highway. And so we don't maintain any paved roads anymore
okay,
on the reservation.
okay, that's
And so, and they call the office, but if we have a snowstorm, we have 2 guys that live down there. They'll get in their blades and they'll go out and push the snow off them if we get enough. But there's a lot of roads that if the bus doesn't run on them, we don't maintain them. And so honestly, no one's going to push the snow on it, because for NDOT to come do it, or for NDOT to do it, they'd have to bring their equipment out of wherever they're located, which could be Window Rock. So.
Yeah, make a motion that we approve the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between Navajo Nation and San Juan County on bus routes.
Motion by Commissioner Adams.
I'll
to approve.
second.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. I'd like to ask a question if I could. I know this contract is focusing on bus routes. And we also had Elk Petroleum asking for their ability to maintain 2 roads that I'm hoping are on bus routes. I think it was 404 and 406.
405.
405. Are they on here?
So they're not on here because they're actually BIA roads that they want to do, and we have approval from the BIA to do it, and Elk Petroleum has that approval to do that. That's a precedent that they want to do. But 404 and 405 now, the section they want to do is BIA roads. There is part of 404 that is NDOT road. It's further up. And so it's not on here because this is not an agreement with the BIA, but we do have that approval from the BIA to let Elk Petroleum do that. And they've been notified of that, I believe, back in March. And so just whenever Elk Petroleum gets their stuff together, they'll send us the thing, and then they'll basically give a permit to do it, but it's not in an agreement. But it would never be in this agreement because the ownership's different.
Okay. All right. These are just Navajo Nation roads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, then that helps. We'll probably have a different conversation about Elk Petroleum later on this week, but I'll bring that to the office later.
Okay. And like Max said, this is a starting point. I imagine that it'll be back in here numerous times as we work through it. It's just, we're hoping that you guys' signature has more clout than mine, so we can start moving along.
Well, thank you for the initiative. This could work. I have faith in it. So,
Thank you.
all right, we got a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 unanimous approval on this. So, thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, next item, number 28.
Okay, this one is consideration and approval of amendment number 3 for inmate telephone services agreement between Inmate Calling Solutions LLC and San Juan County. This is Lieutenant John Young's item here. This is just an amendment. Should have been up in the consent agenda items, but I don't know if you want to explain it a little, what the program is.
Yeah, so it's an amendment to a contract that we have with our inmate phone provider. We entered into that contract the end of 2019 or beginning of 2020. What this amendment does, it replaces the current tablet program that the inmates have with a new company and program. So it's not really a contract with an additional company, but it's an amendment to the contract with the phone company that is going to start using them as a provider. Each inmate, when they get booked into jail, is issued a tablet, and that's how we inform them of the facility rules. That's how we communicate back and forth with the requests. They're a very good inmate management tool. The kids these days, they can't go anywhere without their phone or their tablet of some sort. And so they don't like to lose that. And so it gives us a good management tool to use to curb their behavior. It comes at no cost to us. The company provides all the equipment, all of the infrastructure, the wiring, the cables, everything that goes with it. They bring it in and install. And any replacements, they keep us stocked because they're making money off inmates using that stuff. Phone calls, it costs to do those things, and any entertainment that's on there, they're getting their money to pay for it, and we get a commission on top of that, and so it actually makes us money that we use to help offset some of the costs for the inmate clothing and bedding and all that sort of thing. So it's a good deal for the jail for sure.
Sounds like a good thing.
It is.
So there's no cost to the county. It's just each of the inmates pay for the service.
Mm-hmm. Inmates and inmates' families, they'll pay. It has some entertainment things on there, TV shows, movies, music, that sort of thing that the inmates can pay to use, and that's how the program is completely funded. I will say that this new tablet program, I'm much more impressed with it than I was the one we're currently using. You can tell that whoever designed this, the software, the features, the way the tablet's constructed, it had a lot of input from correction professionals instead of just IT guys. So I'm much more impressed with this new program.
So it's good for them and good for the personnel to make.
Yep.
Well, I would make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. All right. Any other comments or questions?
No, thank you for all you do and
Thank you guys for the support.
Right.
for coming.
Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's 3 in
Yes,
favor.
Thank you.
Unanimous approval. Moving on to the next item, number 29.
Okay, item 29 is consideration and
Thanks for
approval.
coming.
Thank you.
Thanks. Consideration and approval of the 2024 County Fire Warden Agreement between the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands and San Juan County. We had this being given by our fire chief, David, but he's out today delivering a stage to Moab so they can have their graduation tomorrow. And so, in lieu of, do you want to present to this? You can present. So,
We're just here to answer questions.
so this is our county fire warden. So, in premise of this agreement, every year we should be going through this. We had the original that was supposed to be approved in 2022. Somehow we got missed, and so now we're at 2024, making sure that we have everything set up in operation for the county fire warden. And the county fire warden's responsibilities are on here. Is also, it separates out what the county fire is supposed to do on the wildland fires. Kind of sets up the formal structure of who does what, and kind of helps us with our seasonal employees that we also hire, kind of part-time staff for the fire mitigation programs that we're able to utilize as an offset to this fire warden's costs in total. And so that kind of helps the structure. When you look at down here exhibit, let me pull it up, you can see it right here, yours, Ryan. The Appendix A kind of lays out the costs for the program here in the county. There's been a change, and you'll note kind of down at the bottom the yearly office space. We had been, or the state had been, across the street here in Monticello, upstairs in that building across the way, and apparently, fortunate for us, have not been billing us for their office space. So the state's been taking it on themselves, which they shouldn't have. And so we discovered that when they had an inspection with the state that came down and inspected their offices, and they're like, you really shouldn't be officing here in this building. A lot of ADA issues and just state compliance standards that were being missed in the facility across the street here. And so with that, it falls back to the county to lease space for the fire warden and an assistant sometimes when we have an assistant. And so because of that, we structured that office space here. We had, in our structure here in the county with our buildings, we had the county fire chief down at the fairgrounds in what we call the fire operations building. We also had the ambulance housed down there. Well, fire. It's like, well, let's move the ambulance up to the ambulance shed up here, one of the ambulance buildings, and stick both county and state together in the fire building. Fire, absolutely. And so where we had the office space that would fit two people, it's like, well, let's make that adjustment and move him down here. And what you see on here is the lease rate that we're charging for AP&P or highway patrol. Same fixed rate based off of the square footage of the office down there at the fire compound. And so with that, you kind of see that deduction in here, that $1,071 a year. That includes the office, but also with that a garage bay for the fire equipment on there. And so we'll have the garage bay that's included with the office so they can park the apparatus indoors in the wintertime, keep it from freezing, pumps won't freeze. But also in here, we do have to provide the state with a truck now as well, a vehicle. And instead of opting into a lease agreement, we tried multiple avenues. The state also leases vehicles, and we were hoping that the state would be able to lease the vehicle themselves, because then the liability stays with the state.
With the vehicle.
But that didn't work. We weren't able to get that. And so we have a county fire vehicle that we were going to surplus out. And so instead of surplusing that county fire vehicle, we'll just let the state use that vehicle. We still do have to insure the vehicle on our own. No matter what, we would have to do that, whether it was a lease vehicle or the county's vehicle. I'd rather put more miles on the county's vehicle. We don't get a lot of mile utilization on fire equipment. They're just, fortunately for us, there's not a whole lot
Way
of
more
fires. So
fires.
it's like run the tires off of ours first, and then we'll work at getting into a leased vehicle, but at least get the high mileage on our vehicle. We had three kind of the same types of vehicles. One we had loaned out to Spanish Valley volunteers, pushed one there, and then we had an extra one here. And so we just need to make sure that it has seat covers and Utah license plate and everything on there. And so you kind of see the adjustments in the pay from 2023 to 2024. We're working on hiring assistant warden. I don't know, were you able to hire that gentleman?
I have not yet.
Okay,
We
so
still got our second run out.
we're still looking into hiring the assistant fire warden. If we do hire that, then we'll have to make an adjustment with that. But a lot of these on the program is offset in general. We're able to offset the costs here because of the mitigation that we do with our seasoned employees. And so as we go out, and they work with us as well on kind of looking at those high need areas for mitigation. This is one of those programs that I truly feel that saved Pack Creek from, I mean, even though we did lose homes in Pack Creek, I think that the fire would have been more devastating had we not had the fire prevention and mitigation program in place and mitigated a lot of the fire hazards that were around that area and in that neighborhood prior to the fire. And so it's a really good program that, you know, we go through and we point out areas that need to be mitigated between state lands and private property. We're able to mitigate those, and with those costs, we're able to offset the costs for the county fire warden program through the state. And so in the end, it helps us. We do feel that, you know, the state fire warden is part of our team, helps us out a lot through the county, making sure that we have the proper training, proper protocols in place. And then when it comes to that private and migration to state, they've always been a helpful hand for us. And so I don't know if you want to add anything that I've missed on there.
No, I'm glad you did all the talking.
Okay.
That was actually not good. No, it's like you said. This is a contract that we just got to update. It's fell through the wayside with changeover of area managers in the area. So yeah, we're just getting caught back up. And then with the Appendix A, is just the cost of the doing the business
program.
with, as far as the fire warden and the county taking on their percentage of that cost.
Well, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the 2024 County Fire Warden agreement between Utah State and the state of Utah and San Juan County.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Stubbs. And any other questions or comments, commissioners?
Just thank you for keeping us safe.
Truly.
I was in California in the mountains, and you can see where the fires have been, the trees, the fuel that's there is scary because there's just everything's still up, all the things that burn and all the brushes growing, and one of the concerns that it was a conference of Western commissioners, and one of the concern is that the amount of fuel that's accumulated, and they cannot get insurance.
Right.
Fire insurance, I mean, homes that are close to, so it is, when I came back and I saw our mountains and things like that, I thought we are doing good here. It was sad to see that. I don't know how the lodge escaped. I mean, the fire was just not very far, and but the latch was saved, but anyway, but thank you.
You bet.
Great. Let's call for the vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 3 in favor. Unanimous approval. All
Awesome.
right.
Thanks,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
Appreciate you going to bat for us with state.
So yep. We'll work to you later on that. Then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Moving to our next item, number 30.
Okay, number 30 is the consideration and approval to move the grant funding for Mud Springs to the BLM. This is Elainer.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In 2008, the BLM Moab Field Office had their resource management plan identified, and Mud Springs was part of that plan. So it's been in the BLM's plan for all those years. So we have decided with my departure that, and since we don't have anyone who would be here to really push the trail forward, would like to move the funding that we received from the Office of Outdoor Recreation over to the BLM. Met with Patrick Morrison, and who's at the Utah Office of Outdoor Recreation, and they've agreed to extend the contract until 2026, and they're fine with moving the funding over to the BLM. And we've got 2 grants that total $350,000. So, and we should be able to get the extension on the other grant. So that will enable the BLM to continue to move forward. However, we had planned to do construction this year, but that's not going to happen. So it'll happen next year, beginning next year. And the Moab Grand County Active Trails and Transportation will be helping to do some of the there'll be hand-built and machine-built construction on this trail. So the grant will pay for part of that. Our 20% over the course of the next few years will have to be submitted to cover the trail work to pay Grand County, which the Office of Outdoor Recreation reduced our percentage of participation from like normally 40 to 20 because they know that our county can't afford to pay more than Grand County. So the BLM is working with Active Trails and Transportation. So we only have a short window to work on the trail, which is like August through November, because of the milk fetch plant and this bird and the mule deer and all the rest of the things that go on, which I found hard to deal with, but people that build trails say this is normal. So I'm glad I'm not a trail builder, because my patience would not be there. So anyway, that's the request, is that we were awarded the funding, but it'll now move to the BLM, and they will facilitate building the trail.
So tell us a little about the trail. So it's going to connect. It's going to complete a loop with.
It's going to be 3 phases, and when it's done, it'll be about 39 plus. It'll be almost 40 miles of trail, and it will be adaptive, which is amazing because Grand County doesn't even have an adaptive trail. It'll be Class 1 e-bikes, fingers crossed. The BLM has to approve that, but I think that'll happen, and there's not a trail like that as well in Grand County, and it'll be for mountain biking. So we'll start with phase 1, and then the BLM will then apply for additional grants for phase 2 and phase 3, and then the county will probably just need to provide a letter of support, and if the finances are there within our transient room tax allocations, then over the years of 27, 28, as we move forward for the rest of the completion, we can pay our 20%, unless the BLM picks up some of the cost. And also, there are grants for trail work, so trail maintenance. So once the trail is completed, then Grand County and the BLM, again with our letter of support, will reach out to get grant funding to repair the trails. But they really don't feel that the trail is going to need constant maintenance. So, but they'll apply for. We have 26 people signed up for the trail committee out of Grand County. I don't have anyone signed up yet out of San Juan. I have a couple of possibilities. So, but Brendan Cameron, who is with Western Spirit Cycling, is chairing the San Juan County trail committee. So he feels confident that he's going to be able to get residents out of Spanish Valley to jump on board. So we'll have the 26 from Grand and then the additional residents from San Juan County. So we have a collaboration of a committee to help maintain the trails when necessary.
So this is a good alternative to go this way, especially BLM is in charge. People don't have to work with them.
Right. Well, the land is BLM land, but it sits in San Juan County. So, and they identified it back in 2008. And I know my predecessor, Natalie Randall, was, in favor of that. And I just sort of picked up the torch and decided it would be something that Spanish Valley needs. I think for the valley in general, it's good for our residents in San Juan County because they don't have to drive to Bar M, which is north up near the Dinosaur Museum, to ride those trails. They'll be able to ride the trails in Spanish Valley. So it'll really help it'll help both counties, Grand and San Juan.
Well, the only part about this is if they vote yes, then you'll go for sure. You're moving for sure. So. I make a motion to
Move the grant funding to BLM.
to transfer the funds to BLM and
Okay, I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate that.
Go ahead and
Have
take a
to-
vote then. All those in favor?
I
Aye. That's 3 in
I
favor.
have to come back and visit the trail.
then you can come back and we'll take our wheelchairs.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next item, 31, agenda item 31.
Okay, this one here is consideration and approval of a resolution proclaiming May as Mental Health Awareness Month. I know May is almost complete.
I know, right?
but
We're
yet-
a little
we missed
behind, but
commission
anyways.
meeting in there to be able to get it at the first of the month, but
Right.
you have Chris to break our H.
Okay, so I am here to present the resolution for the Mental Health Awareness Month. Just a couple of things that I got from the National Council for Mental Well-Being. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, a national observance that started in 1949 by Mental Health America to bring attention to the importance of mental well-being. Across the country, individuals and organizations have stepped up to raise awareness of and help address the challenges faced by people living with mental health conditions. And just a few statistics that I found. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. Only 47.2% of U.S. adults with mental illness received treatment in 2021. 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness each year. I already went that one. Only 65.4% of U.S. adults with serious mental illness received. Why was that? It's like, okay, never mind. 1 in 6 youth have mental health conditions, but only half of them receive treatment. And 50% of all lifetime mental illness begins at the age of 14, 75% by the age of 24. So, do you want me to read this? Have they already read it? So I would just like you to all consider
Make a motion to approve the resolution proclaiming May 2024 as Mental Health Awareness Month.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Adams to approve, second by Commissioner Stubbs. Commissioners, my only ask would be if we can fix paragraph on the first page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth paragraph, third line. Bloomquist Hale, comma, a mental illness company. If we can strike mental illness or illness company, maybe we can put mental health provider.
Okay.
Would be a little,
Instead of mental health, just change that to mental health
Provider.
provider.
yeah, instead of mental illness company, because I don't think,
I'm okay with the change.
yeah,
Okay.
they might beat us up if we call them a mental illness company.
Mental illness company. Okay.
Thank
Good
you,
catch.
Commissioners. Let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor.
All right,
Welcome
awesome.
to Mental Health Awareness Month, everyone.
All right, thank you.
I just want to make a comment. This study's done about the effect that technology, special phones and games, everything is creating in the youth. They said that by the time they reach a certain age, we may not have enough mental health providers to take care of the problem. And
To deal with it all.
I think maybe one of these days we can have encouragement people to go outside a little bit more. And I know the world is kind of scary for parents to let the kids, go outside. And,
Right.
But it is a very serious mental illness. Sometimes we do not notice, and sometimes we don't know. And I speaking of experience because our son committed suicide when he was 15, and so I always trying to tell people, be kind. You never know
You never know what somebody's going
what's
through.
going on with people, and sometimes just one little thing can be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Right.
And if I learned one thing from that experience is I was always kind, but to be so much kinder, if I could just one smile, something to make somebody's day better. And I think that as we work with people and they act in a certain way, let's don't take it personally. It's not us, maybe something they're dealing with. And sometimes just a hello, a thank you can make a big difference. But thank you for your work.
I agree. All right. Well, thanks, commissioners.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you. Okay,
That
moving
one's a
on.
hard one.
So we're,
Next agenda item 32.
Okay.
we have that.
This one is consideration and approval for the warranty deed for the boundary line adjustment for San Juan County owned property to the San Juan Health Service District within, this is southwest 1/4 of section 25, township 33, range south, range 23 east, SLB and M. Brad will have to explain what that is. The survey talk.
You have to tell her, was this a
Salt Lake
That's-
Basin Meridian.
Oh, that's see. So Commissioner Adams, just the history that I've learned here. He was a commissioner / surveyor when he first came to the commission
Wow.
back in the day. And so that's how.
Is this by the hospital? By the new
Yes.
hospital? Okay.
Let's have Brad come up and he'll explain
Oh, okay.
what's going on here.
Okay. I thought they all left.
Essentially, the county has property. They actually, the county parcel covers the city park and the t-ball field and a good chunk of what we consider the city park. Yeah, that area. And so I was asked just to adjust that boundary, and I'll let Commissioner Adams speak to maybe the whys in that, but to adjust that boundary up to the north edge of the city of 100 north, so that and adjust the boundary between the health district and the county lands, so that the hospital and the clinic
and the future development there is all on one single parcel. County plats made it appear that it was one parcel, but when you get into the legal descriptions of that, it was multiple parcels with multiple overlaps and gaps. And so we just went in and cleaned it up, adjust the boundary, and it's pretty much as simple as that.
So in meeting with Clayton Holt of the Health District, we thought maybe this would be a good time when we're going to build a new facility to get the boundaries where they truly belong, and so that the mothers of the T-ball team don't try and crowd over onto the hospital property to have another ball field out there to. No, that's not really why. It just, but it was kind of unclear, as Brad has kind of expressed, where the boundary needed to be and where it actually was. And so in conversation with Clayton and Brad, I just felt like it would be a good time to make that boundary adjustment so that the health district has the property where their buildings are, and then the ball fields and the T-ball and everything is on the right boundary. So that's basically what we tried to do.
Okay.
Looks good.
So I think what will happen is there will actually be a warranty deed.
There is a warranty deed in here.
In there, okay, it's already there.
Yep.
And we've had the title company research everything to make sure that the title's clean, and we'll just transfer that warranty deed to the health district for the property where the buildings are that they're managing.
Okay.
Any questions?
No,
Just no questions.
I'll make a motion to transfer the special warranty deed to the hospital?
No, to the health district.
To the
San
health
Juan
district, San Juan Health District.
Yeah. Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. Let's go ahead and vote on this then. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 3 in favor, unanimous approval.
This required Brad to do some work that he hadn't planned on, and he had plenty of stuff to do, so I want to thank Brad for
Thank you.
getting this done quickly.
We're just cleaning house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Especially since he did the survey, I guess he has the history.
Yeah, I messed up the survey back in the 1800s, so.
You still get to manage T-ball though.
Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh.
Right. Agenda
I
item
got to see your
33.
mom last night. Haven't seen her in years.
Okay, item 33 is consideration and approval for the proposed court security contract between the State of Utah Administrative Office of the Courts and the San Juan County Sheriff. This one here just is simple modification on the contract's amounts. This is an annual contract. Could have been up in the consent agenda items, but each year the state pays for court security. This is just for the bailiff security and perimeter security when court is in session. $24,828 a year. So when you back to kind of TJ's comments of how are we going to pay for this, well, this is one of those that helps pay for personnel, but also the security that we provide there.
Make a motion, we approve the proposed court security contract between the state and the sheriff's department.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams to approve, second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any comments or questions? It's probably not going to be proposed anymore, right? It's going to be...
It'll be fixed
It'll
every
be
year.
the court security contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 3 in favor, unanimous approval. Moving on to our
Okay,
next
This one
agenda.
here is consideration and approval for the website renewal agreement for San Juan County with Civics Plus. In the past, we had a contract with Municode. Municode provided our website. They were the ones that helped construct it. They also provide the agenda management software. So everything that you see in your agendas and how that's formatted and all of the packet material goes through Municode's agenda management. They've been purchased by Civic Plus, which is a bigger company. And with that, we needed to renew the contract. And so what this contract is before you today is a new contract with Civic Plus for the continuation of our website, hosting the website, and in the future we'll have an agenda management payment on here, but this is just for the website. It's annual, and this will reoccur every year. There's an increase in here that'll take place 5% applied in year 2, so that'll right now it's at $2,310, which will increase 5% next year for that, but just to continue with our website.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. All the way out of Kansas?
All the way out of Kansas, yep.
Wow. Okay.
Municode was a Utah-based company that bought out and made a fortune and went to Civic Plus, who hosts multiple county and city websites throughout the U.S.
Okay. All right, let's take a vote then. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 3 in favor. Unanimous approval for the website renewal agreement. Okay, next item.
Okay, let me see here. Make sure that I'm on the right one. For some reason, I might be missing a contract. Okay, so they're just out of order. So this one here, I've got consideration and approval of a notice of award and intent to negotiate a contract for San Juan County Construction Services for the American Rescue Plan Act funds projects to Tri-Hirsch Construction. I had issued a request for qualifications here last month and had 2 contractors that had submitted for the request for qualifications. Request for qualifications is a fairly simple process. It's pretty much asking for their resume and work experience, things like that, but they still had to meet the parameters and qualifications for the projects themselves. So in here we had requested that contractors have a specific licensure. This one, Tri-Hirsch, had that license. The other one didn't, and so we chose this one that met the parameters for the qualifications for the projects. For both of them were local companies, which we appreciate, and we'll try to get some work to the other contractor, the lower hanging fruit contract projects. But this one here, in essence, what we'll be looking at is we still have ARPA funds that are remaining that need to be spent in the county, and other projects that the county has that we can then use Tri-Hirsch and go directly to them instead of having each project bid independently. So, for example, with this building, we've got a sidewalk replacement over outside of economic development that's all messed up that needs to be replaced. And then you have the front steps on this building that need to be replaced. And then you have the fascia on the building that needs to be fixed. So instead of having independent contracts for each of those, we'll just tie all those projects together and we'll work with Tri-Hirsch to get us quotes and then let them go to work on these projects. We've got some projects down south on the reservation for elections that we've got to try to figure out how to make happen, come to fruition. The state has funds for ADA upgrades for elections, and we can use them at the chapters. We just got to figure out what is the mechanism, whether it's through Tony Dash's office, where the state can fund those, but yet Tri-Hirsch will come in, give us the quote, can do the work. And so we have the local contractor that can then do it. And so we will push kind of all these smaller projects, $100,000-$200,000 projects. If you think of that as small roof replacement, things like that, to Tri-Hearst so that we can spend down those funds before they expire.
Nice.
Sounds good. Glad we found somebody.
Yep.
Yes, me too. I'm glad to submit it.
All right, commissioners, we need a
Make a motion to approve notice of award and intent to negotiate a contract for San Juan County Construction Services for American Rescue Plan Act funds to Tri-Hearst Construction.
motion by Commissioner Adams,
A second.
second by Commissioner Stubbs. All right, let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's 3 in favor, unanimous approval on that. Moving on to our next item,
Okay, item
36.
36 is consideration and approval of a contract with the State of Utah Aeronautic Operations Division and San Juan County providing matching funds for the Cal Black all-weather operating system and beacon project. On all of our projects that we have out at the airport, it's in participation with the State of Utah Aeronautical Operations Division. They're a portion of the fundings as well. So in total, when the FAA funds a project or grants funds for projects, they'll pay 90% of the funds for the project, and then we have to come up with 10%. So of that 10%, we split it with the state. The state takes 5%, and the county takes 5% of cost. Really good deal.
Good deal.
So
Why don't we do that with roads
yeah,
and
yeah, be nice.
other stuff?
Yeah, that would be totally nice.
That'd be nice,
It's
wouldn't it?
splash pad.
And so this year, this is representing this year's project, which is to replace that all-weather system and upgrade the beacon location. So kind of those two projects, pretty small projects this year. It's not a runway replacement, but that's what this represents, is that state's willingness and the county's willingness to partner together to make those payments. The project's underway, and so we had noticed the state sent me an email of like, hey, doesn't look like we have the agreement yet.
Okay, I'll
So
make a
we can set
motion to approve the contract with the State of Utah Aeronautical Operations Division and San Juan County providing a matching funds for the Cal Black Airport all-weather operation system and beacon project.
A second.
Motion by Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Stubbs. I think we don't have any questions, so let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor, unanimous approval. Last and final item.
Okay, this one here, 37, consideration and approval of the contracted services contract to act as the construction management general contractor services for the Pack Creek Emergency Watershed Protection Project between San Juan County and Redoubt Restoration Incorporated. Last month you had approved the notice of award, similar to what we just did with Tri-Hearst for Redoubt and the projects in Pack Creek, the water mitigation, hazard mitigation projects. This is now the contract that'll allow us to proceed in there. Right now I have the fixed limit construction costs to be at $1,067,000 and $67,500. Sorry, of total cost. We will still have to work on fine tuning that number. It may grow, maybe smaller. Either way, it cannot exceed the amount of grant funding that we have for the project. And so as this contract will allow us then to go ahead and work with the contractor, finalize costs, finalize locations, finalize the engineering plans, which is part of the construction services side of it. The construction management is to have him work with us to fine tune the project. And then before we enter into the finalization and a notice to proceed, we'll fix those costs of what they truly should be and truly are, and then start going to work. And so this is one of those steps.
I'll make a motion to approve this contracted services contract to act as the construction manager and general contract services for the Pack Creek Emergency Watershed Protection Project between San Juan County and Redoubt Restoration.
Motion by Commissioner Adams,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any other questions or comments, commissioners? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 3 in favor. Yeah, unanimous approval. I think that's the end of our agenda items. So now we're going on to commission reports. Commissioners, do you have any reports you'd like to share? If you do, or you can do written if you. I don't have any reports right now.
I just, as I was coming from Blanding, leaving town in Blanding, I was just trying to notice the positive things that I saw happening in our county. I noticed that lots of the buildings in Blanding, the stores have been refurbished in the front, been painting. It was so nice, and as we started coming toward the fields, then we saw the new project that is happening north of the cemetery. I mean, it's a big, big project going with all the cabins and everything there, and it's just so nice to see that. And then I came upon the fields, the wheat fields and probably beans fields, whatever. They're so nice and green, and then, you know, coming to Monticello, looked like we were going to get more moisture, and just grateful for the opportunity to live in San Juan County and to see sometimes we concentrate in a poverty, and we are poor in money, but we are rich in blessings and opportunities. And I had many opportunities to see. For 3 weeks I was gone to for different meetings, and as you hear, especially when you hear people from other counties, the opportunities that we have and how blessed we are, even in our circumstances. There are other counties that have it harder, and also to be able to connect and be able to. I am a dreamer. I always dreaming something from the time I was a little girl, and so I came back with more ideas and haven't approached Tom Mack yet any of the ideas. Just trying to give him a break. But today I'm gonna do one of those ideas that I'm gonna go before the city of Blanding. I've been working since last August and on a grant to propose for a splash pad in Blanding, and I think that we do have a nice swimming pool. We have lots of good things, but there's lots of families that cannot afford the pool. There's lots of families that can benefit. Just lots of tourists, people come to town and they go down the street looking for something to do. And so I don't know how it's going to go if we get the support from the city, but it's just one intention of trying to figure out how we can help this sister city. Commissioner Adam was talking about. I was telling him about some of the things they used to have in Monticello, and he brought up the point, which is true. Lots of those things were done by volunteer. I know in Blanding we had the most beautiful flowering trees on Main Street, and it was just because one lady gathered her friends and they did a project planting those trees. Now they're mature, and it's so beautiful when the flowers come in. And there's many things that are done we volunteer, which we don't have nowadays. And so as I think about ways how to help the county, it's trying to figure a way how I can figure out how I, within my position, can benefit partnership, or even just to listen to some of the visions that the city have and look for resources to mention to them. And anyway, so I something that makes me that I don't have so many questions. I used to have just about every day I had a question from Mac, and I think I learning that. And the sad thing is, by the time I learn it, somebody new will come, and Mac will have to start over again, kind of like a fifth grader teacher, I guess. And anyway, so there's lots of good things happening. Some of the things I cannot share yet, but I think for my fellow commissioners, I like that we work together. I don't know if we ever gonna have three commissioners that can work this well together, but it sure made it easy for me. I still remember the first day I walk in here, and and how I felt that everybody was so helpful. Anyway, thank you, and that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Stubbs. Commissioner Adams?
Well, it's just been a while since we were able to report. I'm just trying to think. We attended a UAC event down at St. George since we last met, and had a nice conference down there, and a lot of commissioners discussed some really important issues that are facing counties, and I appreciated the opportunity to go down there. And while we were there, we had our we had a meeting with USIP, and then was able to travel to the western inner region of NACO at Yosemite Park in California. Flew into Fresno and traveled up to the park. It was quite an experience.
Windy
Go
road.
down into Yosemite Park. Wow. And view the falls and the rocks that they do a lot of rock climbing on. And come to find out it was originally set aside by Teddy Roosevelt, and for good reason, because it was a glacier formed valley that's very U-shaped and not V-shaped. But it's amazing. You ever been there? Oh, it's beautiful. It's just incredible. It is so beautiful. We had good meetings and talked with the Forest Service specifically about trying to save old growth trees. And they have a lot of those in Yosemite. They have the redwoods, and it was just amazing to me to see a cedar tree that grew straight and tall, hundreds of feet in the air. I look at the cedar trees we have on Cedar Mesa, and they're about 8 feet tall. Out in California, those cedar trees just grow straight and tall. They're 100 feet in the air. Just like the ponderosa and the other big trees that they have there. But they have different weather conditions out there. But I was amazed at how that whole area around Fresno has so many cows. It has such big, huge cattle operations. But they have a lot of water, they have a lot of irrigation, and they have a lot of canals that flow through the area. And I don't know if you could see those flying in, Sylvia, but
Yeah.
I sure could.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was amazing, but I really appreciated being able to go and visit with commissioners from all over the West. It's fast becoming that commissioners in the East want to join the Western commissioners and be part of the West. And so then recently was able to go to the dedication of the building in Richfield. Their AOG type services that they offer to 6 counties. Then went up to the open house of the UAC basement expansion. It's really not a basement. It's, you can see outside the glass, see the roads and everything. And give a farewell to Zeke Lee, who is moving on.
That's right.
To NACO. And they had a nice celebration cake there, and the new conference room up there at UAC will hold 65 people now, and
Wow.
you can even have some UAC events there. And then
The good thing about Zeke, he's gonna stay with us still because he'll be working for the state of Utah.
then the commissioner up in Summit County had invited UAC members up to his ranch between Park City, almost at Colville, between Park City and Evanston. We went up there and they had a nice barbecue there and afforded people a chance to paddleboard or kayak or canoe or boat, do some fly fishing. That was really Chris Robinson's his name. And I come to find out he's the second largest landowner in the state of Utah besides the LDS Church.
Wow.
He has 3 big ranches. The ranch that we were on was 90,000 acres.
Wow.
Where they run 5,000 head of cows. And they have a big guide service for hunting elk and deer and things like that in the fall. And as far as I could tell, my wife caught the biggest fish on a fly rod. She caught a 4.5 pound rainbow trout, which was a lot of fun for us. And then
Macca's just thinking, wishing he can be there.
Oh, those big fish like that taste good too. It's too bad you had to throw it back.
anyway, it's good to be home. I'll be home for a couple of weeks, and then in June I have upcoming retreat for CIB for some of the other boards that I sit on, and then of course NACO's in July. I don't know if either one of you are planning on going to Tampa to NACO. I won't be able to go because I am monitoring the level of Lake Powell that week. I've been asked.
We needed that. You were having a hard time finding somebody to do that. So glad you found a volunteer.
I'm going to monitor the lake for 1 whole week while I'm sitting on my son's houseboat.
That sounds like fun.
Stick your
We
toes in the
we
water.
we were in one of those and it broke down and we were going like 5 miles an hour
Oh, wow.
with a bunch of little kids.
Well,
Oh,
that's
man.
all my report. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Adams. Thank you, Commissioner Stubbs. I'll just share 3 things for you. First item is actually got to participate with Commissioner Stubbs in a meeting down in Navajo Mountain. They provided us a video link, and they've been talking about the road they still want to construct between Navajo Mountain and Oljeto. And it looks like both the council delegates, Council Delegate Herman Daniels and Yanito, made it to that meeting as well. And everything is just preliminary. I think even JD
Yeah,
Mills
speakers
was
John
there,
Mills.
yeah.
Yeah, they were representing the 7 counties.
And I think from the meeting itself, there's still a strong interest to continue to pursue the funding to complete the environmental impact study for that road. And I think the consensus at the end of the meeting was let's continue to work towards securing the money required. I know with Commissioner Stubbs and I, because we're on the Revitalization Fund board, we had set aside about 200,000 towards match that Navajo Nation was putting in. And so the consensus was to extend that because I think we had set that aside last year in July or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this coming Revitalization Fund meeting will most likely support that request to extend that. Because normally when you don't use funds, it just goes back into the funds to be used for other projects. So, but the leaders will be working on getting supporting resolutions to support us in that effort to extend revitalization funds that were set aside last year to be extended for this coming year as they work with the nation to find other resources so that the environmental impact statement can be completed. But that was one meeting we got to participate in, and they were kind enough to let us hop on by video. They'll notify us of the next meeting, it sounds like. So the other item is I actually was invited to a meeting with a new company. They're working out in LaSalle, from what I understand, or maybe they're prospecting in LaSalle. And it sounds like they're an energy company, maybe
they're
into
kind of
solar or something like that.
Yeah,
But
they came before the planning and zoning. We were talking about the energy company that in LaSalle, just a small company there.
But I did encourage them to come to us to maybe come and present their project. They're looking for a project area in our county to expand into, is what they're saying. And they might have a project they would like our support on. So they will probably making contact with UMAC maybe next couple of weeks to share more information about who they are and what kind of work they do. And they're interested in maybe building a labor force. I think one of their biggest concerns is being able to house new people that they hire and things like that.
Is that the graphite company?
I think it is. I only met with the investors that were there. There's like 3 or 4 of them. But they will be coming forward out of the woods to come and present a project they would like to pursue in our county. And then finally, we're having our criminal justice committee, our community criminal justice committee. We're going to hold it in Montezuma Creek, and we'd like to engage the Navajo Nation. I'm working on making sure that we have some of the departments from Navajo PD and maybe Division of Social Services there to listen to our efforts in focusing on data. And I think that conversation, as we continue to have it with the nation, will get led to the right people to make what we want happen in regards to sharing information with each other, amongst each other, so that we can identify needs together and fill in the gaps for certain services. So looking forward to that opportunity and that partnership. So that's all I have, Commissioners. Other than that, it's an honor serving with you on the commission. Thank you for all that you do to help and support me, and it's always been good to go out and travel with you guys. I just feel bad I couldn't go to California my work got in the way. So, but
That was really a good trip.
I bet it was. So,
The one Sylvia to stop at the grocery store, buy some food because it was so expensive up at
I'm not kidding.
the resort. It was,
I mean, $5 for just little things.
wow.
So it took us a while to find a grocery store. Then it got dark and it was so curvy, the road.
on our way back to the airport, there was a little fruit stand selling cherries.
Oh,
And my wife said, well, I'd really like to get some fresh cherries. So we pulled over and had a little cup about this size right here of cherries. $10.
Oh my goodness.
We only
Wow.
bought one.
did you ask, can I have half?
All right, commissioners, I think we're done with our agenda. So,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Commissioner Adams,
And I second that.
second by Commissioner Stubbs.
I know. He's on
We
Thank
are
you.
adjourned as of 1:11 p.m. Thank you.